Sorry about that delay, Rhonda. Let me make you the co-host, and then we have people who are joining right now. So I will make you the co-host and then let them in and manage the waiting room. Okay. Welcome everyone who is joining us. We will be kicking off in just a moment here. And Rhonda, you are on mute. I will manage your waiting room for the first few minutes so that you can kick things off and get set up.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Gonna also just send a quick note to everyone. And for everyone who is joining, feel free to join with mic and camera. We are super communal around here, and we're just going to give it a moment so that everyone can get into the Zoom room.
Can you hear my cat? He's sneezing.
Okay, just a second. You should. Okay. Yeah, we got more people showing up. Super excited to learn about web design tonight.
Yes. Why don't we give it just a couple more minutes? I'll go ahead and share my screen just so everyone will know where we are.
Yeah,
In the right place.
definitely.
We'll get started in just a minute. For those of you who are here, maybe you could, in the chat, type where you are in this great world of ours. I'm in Tucson. San Jose, all right. Welcome. Newport, couple Californians, all right. Glad to have you here. Chicago, nice. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. We're waiting for people to come in through the waiting room.
Yeah. Yeah, and how long have you been doing web design courses, Rhonda, just as we're waiting?
I've been a web developer for 20 years and have been teaching on and off for about 5. And then the last 2 years have been at a coding boot camp.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
This is just so needed. So many people that, you know, we still are just completely lost when it comes to how to build a website.
Yeah. Well, let's give it one more minute. I hate to have the people who arrived on time have to wait much longer.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I'm doing, I'm also gonna grab the list and just ping everyone because we have 33 RSVPs. So want to make sure that they're able to get here. But yeah, I think it's okay if you begin and then people just catch up and then can also watch the recording as well.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're here to talk about the 3 ways to launch your website. I just want to welcome you. I'm glad that you're here. Just a little bit about myself. Oops, we're a little bit past. I am Rhonda Bell, as we were just talking about. I am the founder of the Do Yourself website course. It's to help entrepreneurs get their online businesses up and running on the web so that they have time to work on their businesses and start generating income. As I was saying earlier, I've been a web developer for over 20 years, have been teaching on and off for 5 years, and then the last 2 years I've been teaching students how to launch their websites. And I really do love helping small businesses and entrepreneurs get their businesses online. I enjoy that so much more than working in corporate America on those kind of big websites. But I have worked on some big websites. One of the most popular ones I've worked on is allrecipes.com, if you're familiar with that website. So I hope after today's presentation, you'll be excited and ready to get started on your website with the right launch strategy for you. So if you're ready, why don't you type into the chat? Yes, all recipes is awesome. It's like the #1 food website. All right. So let's talk about the purpose of the master class. So we're going to be covering a few things in this masterclass. So you're in the right place if you want to launch an awesome website that attracts clients. You're also in the right place if you want to learn how to stand out online, and you also want to avoid common mistakes that cost unnecessary time and money when you're launching your website. And you're also in the right place if you just need help picking out the right website launch strategy. You might be a little lost. So if any of those apply to you, then you're in the right place. We're going to be covering that and a lot more in the next few minutes. So before we get started, why don't in the comments, just so that I kind of have an idea, if you have a website already, but maybe you're looking to make it better or just get some ideas, you could type the #1 in the chat. Otherwise, if you don't have a website and you're wanting to create one, then you could go ahead and put a 2 in the website. So I see 1, Lena already has a website. Anyone else? 2, is it Alba? Yes, you're wanting to create a website. Great, you're in the right place. Awesome. Another Lauren, all right, that's awesome. Yeah, so launching your website, typically if you already have one, if you're going to be launching again or changing, this is also the right place for you. And if you're just starting, this is also the perfect thing for you. All right, so before we get into choosing the best way to launch your website, we need to go over some strategies that help you plan for that client attracting website first. And so you're going to need to choose a unique style. It's one of the first things that you want to do to help set your website apart from your competitors. And the other thing is that it's going to attract the type of clients or customers that you want to work with, because they're going to come to your website It's going to have this unique style that reflects you and your business, and it's just going to feel right to them. And they'll know that they're in the perfect place for them, that your business is perfect for them. So it's really important to get your unique style down. Now you might be wondering, well, how do I come up with this unique style that's going to attract this ideal customer? And we're going to talk about two really important topics to be able to do that. And the first is creating a website strategy statement. And we'll talk about what that is and how you do it. And then also designing a winning brand. So let's first talk about a strategy statement for your website. And this statement is important because it's going to guide everything you do on your website and really in your business, from the style that you're going to pick, which we're going to talk about next, and the pages you're going to put on your website, which we'll cover later, to products and services that you sell. So it's comprised of three parts, and those are what am I offering to my target customer? So who's my target customer? And then what is the benefit to my customer? So we're going to talk a little bit about that, give you an example. So here on the left-hand side, we have that statement, what am I offering? So you're going to replace that with what you're offering, who your target customer is, and what is the benefit to them. So for example, here on the right-hand side, the first one is the do-it-yourself website course for new entrepreneurs so that they can build a website quickly and easily. So we've taken those three things and put it in a statement to make it really clear about, what our website and business is doing. Let's say maybe you're a coach, you're a nutritional coach. So maybe you provide nutritional coaching to new mothers so that they can learn how to have more energy. And then a final example, maybe you're an artist and you refurbish mid-century furniture for local homeowners so that they can have a stylish home with unique and custom designs. So this is something that if you haven't already done as part of planning your business, you're definitely going to want to think about this statement for your website so that it can direct your brand and everything else that you're going to do on your website. All right, any questions about that? Okay, so let's talk about your designing your winning brand. And this is really comprised of three things. First is your unique style, and then coming up with your brand colors and fonts to reflect that style. So you might be saying, well, how do I come up with my unique style? I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not really sure how to do that. And really, it doesn't have to be that hard to come up with that initial unique style. In fact, you can just really start with some common styles and then put a twist on them and make them your own. So you don't have to really start from scratch. So let's look at some common brand styles. And I like to break it up into two different lists. And as you'll see here on the left-hand side, we have tone, and then we have personality. And on the tone, it kind of goes with the intensity or the shade or the color that we want to go with our website more generally, like warm, cool, bright, bold, maybe a modern tone. And then on the right-hand side, we have some words that refer to personality. So maybe you or your customer's personality leans towards a feminine look, or bubbly, or calming, or sophisticated, or minimal. And so you can take those two lists and you can pick one from each side. So you could, on the tone side, perhaps pick a color like bright, and maybe on the right-hand side, you could pick something maybe like bubbly. So I'll give you maybe just half a minute to think about, if you were just to pick one word from each side, which would it be? And if you want, you can type them in the chat. So you might be warm and sophisticated, or bright and feminine. If you have your two words, you could type them in the chat. Modern and sophisticated. Yeah, warm and sophisticated. Yeah, those are great. Those are great ones. Cool and calm. Yes, yes. Those are great combinations. Love it. All right. So once you have your two words, and don't worry, you don't, have to be stuck with them forever. We're going to use like your new branding best friend, and that's Pinterest. How many people here already use Pinterest and kind of get sucked into the vortex when they get onto Pinterest? If you're like me. um, yeah, it's definitely. So now I'm gonna give you permission, not during this presentation, but later, to actually use Pinterest for a business purpose, because it's awesome for brainstorming ideas about your brand. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to use Pinterest in those words that I just showed you, to figure out your unique style for your website. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to say, for an example, that I'm going to pick the warm tone and a feminine personality. And so then I'm going to go to Pinterest, and this is just a screen print of a search I did earlier today. So if you're not familiar with Pinterest, it's kind of an image search engine. So people will tag the images with various words, and then Pinterest, when you put a search in, will compile all these. So you can see here that I put in warm brand, feminine brand board, and you'll see that I've gotten these pins here, and yes, they have a feminine look to them. They've got a warm tone to them, and I could even click on one of the pins, and then I can see that this brand board has some, unique colors, even some images that kind of express that this is warm and feminine, and even some font ideas. So that's pretty cool, right? You could just go in, take those two words, put them into Pinterest, and you can get a whole bunch of ideas about, yeah, I like those colors too. But let's say you did put in that warm and feminine, that what you could do is, if maybe it didn't quite speak to you, or maybe you want to see, well, what does it look like if I go with bright and feminine? So you could just change one of those words. And then when you do that, you'll get a whole nother look and feel that it definitely looks feminine still, but it has a brighter tone to it. And again, you could go look at the pin, or many of the pins, and then see, what colors they have, the fonts that they're using. Now, what I suggest, that once you start doing this on Pinterest and you're finding these different pins, is to go ahead and save them to a specific board. You could call it brand board. You could even make it a secret board where you just collect all of these pins. And so if you see something, I highly recommend that you do save it, because I don't know about you, but I've saw a pin, really liked it, forgot to save it, and then later I couldn't find it. So just remember, if you see a combination that you like, go ahead and save it. And then let's look at just one other combination here. And so I'm going to completely change the words. So here on the left-hand side, I'm going to go with modern instead of warm or bright. And then instead of feminine, I'm going to go with sophisticated. So we'll have modern and sophisticated. And when we do that search, we'll see, right, that's completely different look, different colors, different styles, even the fonts kind of look a little bit different. And then again, we could look at a particular pin and then get an idea of, colors and fonts. And the idea isn't to, copy exactly what the other brand boards look like, but to give you an idea. So you can take those common styles that are out there, those tones and personalities, and then make it your own. And then again, right, to save 10 or 15 or 20 and to your Pinterest board. Any questions about to it later, because that's just one piece of the puzzle for creating a client attracting website. We do want it to look nice. We do want it to reflect our style, but there are some other things. So if you're over on Pinterest, come on back and you can jump over there later. So what I want to talk about next is picking the right web pages for your website. So before you're even building your website, you're wanting to think about what pages you need. And I'm going to go briefly over 10 pages that you need for your website. And depending on your site, you may or may not need all of them, but I would say you should consider them before deciding which ones you want to not use. And you'll kind of use your targeting statement to figure out what might make most sense for you. So here's the top 10 pages, and these can actually even be part of a web page, or sometimes these 10 pages could be more like a section and they have more than one page in them. But really, these are the 10 most common, most useful pages or topics that you need for your website. And don't worry, you don't have to remember all of these. I do have a download, so if you haven't gotten this already, I'll have a link at the end of the presentation that will have these 10 web pages and even more detail about what should go on those pages in this guide. So I'll have that link at the end. But I do briefly want to go over those pages. So the first one is the home page, and this is your most important page on your website. It's the main page of your website. It often is the first page your client or customer might see, especially if they just type in your URL into their browser. And it should engage your online visitor so that they want to explore your website and attract them into your sales funnel. And I'll be talking about what a sales funnel is in just a little bit. So if you don't know what that is, I'll be covering that. And you also want to have some important elements on your homepage. So your brand name, whatever the name of your company or business is, or if your brand is your name, then your name. And then if you have a logo, you want to have a navigational menu and a footer. And really, these are definitely key on the homepage. You'll probably have them on most of your pages, but you will want this so that your clients or potential customers can get around your website. And then another important page is your about page. And this is probably the second most sought out page on your website because a client, your potential client or a customer may come to your website. They might not come through your home page. If they found you through a search and they've ended up on a different page, they might want to know, since they haven't seen your site before, who you are. They want to learn more about you so that they can, know, like, and trust you. And you want that to kind of be conveyed on your about page. So you just want to formally introduce yourself or your business. You can talk about the history of your business. Maybe you have some industry related credentials that a client might be interested in, or some professional experience. And then if you're selling a digital or physical product, and this might not be true for everyone, so this might not be a page that you have, you'll want to have a products page. And sometimes this is called an online shop, but it can be one page where you just, if you only have one, two, a few products, you might just have one page for your products, or you might have a whole shop, multiple pages. And you want to make sure that you have really good images for your products, but also you want to describe the benefits and the features of your products. And if you do have that main products page and it links to other products, you also want to make sure you have good descriptions of your products on your products page so that your clients will know, or your customers will know what they're purchasing and why, what the benefit to them is. And you'll also want to have a way for them to purchase it by like using a buy button, with that type of thing. Now, you might not sell products. Maybe you're a coach or a consultant and you offer services, or in addition to products, you also have services. So services is another page. I usually don't recommend putting services and products on the same page. You kind of want to separate those if you do both. And similar to the products page, you want to list the service, what it is, but also what the benefit to your customer or client is going to be. And then similar to your product page where you might have a buy button, you want to have some kind of call to action, a CTA. This might be book now if you have kind of discovery calls, or if they want to find out more, you might have a button that says that, but you want them to take some kind of action. And then this is another page, the online portfolio page, that may or may not make sense for your website. But if you're a artist or graphic designer, photographer, some other kind of creative, then you're probably going to want to strut your stuff. You're going to want your potential clients to see what you've created in the past. And as you sell your photography or your art, you won't have those, on a products page because you're not selling them. So this gives your potential clients and customers an idea of the kind of work that they might even be able to commission from you. And so this could include images and videos. It could be downloadable files, blog entries, if you're a writer, links to other works. So you might have your works being shown at galleries, and they might have a website with your work on them. So you would include that on your online portfolio. And if you are just starting out, you don't have a lot of things to put in online portfolio, you don't worry about this. As you build your business and it grows, you can either add this page later or just add more things as you create and sell things. And then another important page that you might not have when you first start out, but over time, you'll want to collect reviews and testimonials about your website. And this is especially on your website. And this is especially important if you're selling products and services, because your first time users want to see what others are saying about your products and services and what benefits. And this is really a way to kind of get, free advertising. Someone else is saying how great you are, give your first time visitors just a really good impression of you and your business. And then I would say if you're only going to have 3 pages, which I would never recommend only 3 pages, but if you're going to maybe create the first 3 pages, you're going to want your home page, your about page, and then a contact page. This is so that your potential clients and customers can contact you. You want a way for them to either be able to get you through a business email, a phone number, or you could even just link to social media. So then people could send you a direct message on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, wherever you are. Another thing that you can put on a contact page is a form. So they could fill out a form and as part of your website, it would email the information to you. But definitely important page to have is a contact page. A lot of times I just see the contact information in the footer, and sometimes that's just really hard for people to find. So you really, really do need a contact page. And then the next one is a frequently asked questions page, a facts page. And what you'll find over time in your business, you're going to get a lot of the same questions from your customers. And this way you can put those commonly asked questions on a page and have the answers there. And so then that way your customers can be self-service rather than having, to wait from an email from you. And then we have our landing page. And you may or may not be familiar with this term landing page, but you've probably seen a lot of them. The sole purpose of these is what we call lead generation or sales conversions with call to actions. So some of the call to actions that you'll see on things on a landing page is, sign up for a newsletter or get a limited time offer, set up an appointment, book a free consultation. The most common one you'll usually see on a landing page, and what I typically recommend is the first type of landing page you create is one that has a free download, and then you are able to collect email addresses. And we'll talk a little bit more about landing pages and how you use that to generate clients and customers. But one of the important pages to have on your website. And then the last one of the top 10, and this is really going to be more than a page, is a business blog. This is a section of your website rather than a page. And usually you'll have these pages, we call them blog posts or articles. And there's a lot of people who have personal blogs, but businesses also use them because they extend the reach of your website. So we talked about kind of those 9 other pages, those sections of your website. A lot of times those are kind of static, they don't change a lot over time, but by writing articles, you can extend the reach of your website because it can attract traffic through search, like on Google, or if you have social media accounts, you can reference or link to your article that you've written about an important topic in your industry to also attract customers or clients to your website. So that's really a brief and quick overview of those top 10 pages. Like I said, I do have a guide. I'll have a link at the end that lists all those pages and goes into more detail. Okay, so we just talked about one of those pages, the landing page, and it's important in this whole process of automating your selling process. And you'll see that it's one of the key things that you need as part of your website to do that. One of the biggest mistakes that I often see that entrepreneurs make when they're building their website is they kind of make them this, static brochure style website, which is, it's great to have information about your website, all those things that we talked about, your products, your service, who you are, those are kind of static, but we don't only want to attract your clients to your website. We also want to encourage them to buy your products or book your services. That's should be the main goal behind a business website, or 9 times out of 10 it is. So how do you turn this static website that a lot of people do into this kind of selling machine? And we do that through what's called a sales funnel. I'll talk just a little bit about that in a minute. But the idea is we capture emails and then we nurture the relationships with those emails so that we can sell our products and services consistently. So here in this slide, we have kind of this graphic that shows a sales funnel. And the idea is we have all kinds of people coming to our website through what's called traffic sources. So you might be doing pay-per-click. Maybe you're buying ads on Facebook, or you're doing SEO, you're doing search engine optimization, you're writing those articles that are showing up in Google. You might be doing stuff on social media. So a bunch of different ways of getting people to your website. And all of those people are prospects. They haven't bought yet. And by getting them to your website and now having that landing page, that one page that I talked about where you maybe give them a free download and they give you your email address, then you can make them more aware about you and your company so that eventually they'll actually do a purchase. And we want to do this because typically when someone comes to your website, 90% of their first time visitors won't buy anything. Not about 90%, yeah. It may be even closer to 95%, especially if it's the first time that they've been to the website or they've never heard of you before. And so we want to nurture this relationship. And by giving something free, capturing their email, and then sending them follow-up emails, we can have the prospective client or customer get to know us better. They can find out more about us, so they can like us, and ultimately they'll trust us enough to purchase from us. And this actually gives you a way to have sales of products and services consistently. So by having people on an email list, you don't have to wait for new visitors just to happen to arrive on your website. You can actually encourage the people who are on your list, who subscribe to your email list, to come back and make a purchase. So this makes it more consistent based on when you're sending out emails rather than when people just happen to come to your website. So having a sales funnel allows you to turn the website visitors into customers, but how exactly does it do that? And there's about 3 main ways that your website visitors are going to become paying customers once they come into your sales funnel. Now, like I said, they could purchase right away. This is really not the typical first time visitor action that happens, purchasing right away, but some might, 5 to 10% might. But if we can get them on our landing page to give us their email address, we can follow up with that email marketing, and then they may come back to our website, eventually purchase. Or as part of your emails, you may actually have a particular promotion that then encourages them to come back to your website and purchase. And then another thing is if you have an email address of someone, you can actually on Facebook and other platforms give that list of emails that you have and target those people if they're on that platform. So you can actually direct your ads towards people who are on your email list and then get them to come back. And then the final way is that you might have a completely offline way that people buy from you. So they might book an appointment, they might do that online, but then you do a phone call or a Zoom meeting with them, and then you sign them up as a client. And this is how you can turn those website visitors into paying customers. So these are kind of all the things that we have to think about before we even decide on a launch strategy and pick which one we're going to do. So we've covered the basic strategies up until now that you need to know before you launch the website. And so now we can talk about what's the right launch strategy for you and your business. And I'm going to cover 3 different ways that you can launch your website. And really any of these could be the right choice for you. It really comes down to a few factors when choosing what's the best option for you and your business. And the 3 different ways are basically you can hire a web designer, you can use what we call AllinOne Solution, or you can use something similar, but not exactly the same as an all-in-one solution, what we often call a website builder platform. These are 3 most typical ways that you can launch your website. So this first option is hiring a web designer and developer. And this is a way that most people early in the internet and for many years, this was really the only way that you could get a website. You had to hire someone who had the technical knowledge. That's how I first started doing websites, was because I have a background, a degree in computer information systems and programming. And so people need a website. They knew I could do that, so I would do it. This could be the right solution for you if you want something that's completely custom and you really have limited time to even think about building a website yourself. You have a little inclination to do it, and you just want to hand it off. And so if that's true for you, then this could be a good solution. The only thing is that it can be really expensive. And I put $5,000 here, but really the cost of a custom website can go up much higher than that. And even if you have that kind of money to pay for a website, the other thing I caution people, especially on new entrepreneurs, on having someone like a web developer build it for them, is you have limited control over when things can be updated and changed, because sometimes your web developer might have this might be a side job for them, so they're only can get to your website um, occasionally. And so you just have limited control. So it's not, if you have the money, yeah, is that yeah, Melinda's saying yes, lessons learned. Yeah, sometimes it's great. Someone, you just hand it off, it's fine. But then later you might regret it.
You might regret it.
Yeah, I've had clients in the past who their web developer designer ghosted them. And here was their website, and they had no way to update it. So I'm not saying all web designer developers are like that. I'm not like that, but yeah. So the other is an all-in-one solution, and these include everything that you need, or maybe you don't even need. They have, something, they may have the functionality you need to build your website. They usually include hosting, and that's a place where your website resides. They have themes, the way the look and feel of your website's going to be. They'll have plugins, which gives functionality to your website, like a form that captures information. And this can give you a basic solution. Over the years, they have become, more, have included more features in them. It certainly requires a lot less technical skill than if you were to, build a website yourself, like a web designer. The thing that I've noticed when clients have come to me and they're no longer happy with their all-in-one solution is that they feel limited by the themes that they can choose from, or what can be modified on the themes, or what functionality is available on the website. So these could be great. Some solutions are Squarespace and Wix. They do the hosting. They have everything kind of pre-built for you, and you just make some customizations. If you don't want to pay for a web developer, but you do have to be okay with some of the limited choices that could come with these all-in-one solutions. They won't be a custom solution, but you can make customization, so that it could be a right choice for you. And then the final way that you can launch a website is by using what's called a web builder platform. And so this is software that gets installed on a web host. So it's different from the all-in-one solutions, which really is hosting and doing everything for you. You actually have to put software installed on a web host. And back in the olden days, I mean, me as a developer would actually physically get on my computer and tell it to install. And it was even then you would need a web developer if you wanted to use one of these web builder platforms, but they've gotten so much easier. And some examples include Weebly, WordPress. There's a host of others that have come and gone. They're usually the least expensive option compared to hiring a web developer or designer or using an all-one solution. They do require more setup on your part, but over the years, like I said, it was a lot more complicated. The hosting providers now have made it really easy to work with these web builder platforms, almost as easy as the all-in-one solutions, but yet they give you a lot more control. They have a lot more features and functionality typically from the all-in-one solutions. So that could be a good choice for you, is to use a web builder platform. So based on all this, you might be wondering, like, well, what is the best strategy? This is, there's a lot to think about here. And of course, I don't know your specific circumstances of your business, how much time and money you have, how much inclination you have about building your own website. But what I've seen over the years is that I've gone from actually building websites and recommending that for business owners, because really that was their only option, to having them get away from that. There's really no reason, unless you're building some web app, you've got the next, Facebook or some kind of web app, then you might need a web developer. But if you're creating a website as an entrepreneur, sell products, services, really you don't need a custom website. And and like I said, I've also had clients who started out with all-in-one solutions, and then they just find out over a period of time that it was too limiting for them. And so that's why 9 times out of 10, I just usually recommend a website launch strategy that's easy, that doesn't cost thousands of dollars, and really doesn't require a lot of tech knowledge. So which one is this? So especially if you're just starting out in business, I always recommend the do-it-yourself website using a web builder platform. And that's because it saves you on those upfront web developer costs. You're not going to be paying at the bottom $5,000, and it goes up from there. You can make edits whenever you want. You don't have to wait on the web developer to make edits for you. If you have a new offer, so maybe you have products that revolve around the season and some holidays coming up, you want to be able to put those new offers out. Maybe you have a new marketing campaign, so you have a new Facebook ad, you want to create a new sales funnel with a different landing page. You don't have to wait on anybody to do that. You can just do it yourself. So that is why I always now, for most people, recommend just using a web builder platform. So as I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of web builder platforms. A lot have come and gone. I mentioned a couple, but over the years, one has really risen to the top as an open source platform that's used by millions of websites. And of course, probably you've heard of it, WordPress. It is the #1 web builder platform. It's used by millions of websites around the world. And it really, in my opinion, is the best choice for most new businesses if you have the inclination of wanting to build your own website and not send it off to a custom built one. And it's better than building the website from scratch, either yourself if you have that technical background. I mean, even today, I have the technical background to build websites from scratch, but if I'm building a website for someone else, I just use WordPress. A couple of reasons. It's easy to use, but also if eventually they want to take over, it's easy for them to pick it up and they can make the changes themselves. WordPress already has built-in functionality, so you can get started with pages and blogs and all your layouts. And there's thousands of different themes and plugins to choose in. So even though it won't be a custom site, there's so much customization that you can do with WordPress. And then, as I said, I feel that it's better, and several of my clients have also said that it's better than All-in-One Solutions because it's just more flexible and you can customize it more. It just has more features than most of the All-in-One Solutions. And then compared to the other web builder platforms, WordPress again is supported by an open source community. So if you're not familiar with that term, open source means that one, the software's free and people are working on it for free. So all of this functionality that you're getting is being maintained by thousands of developers who are adding things to it all the time. It's #1 installation, and it's available on most hosting providers. So when you want to create a website and put it out on the internet, you need a hosting provider. And this is someone who has the computers where your actual code for your website resides. And all of them, all the big ones, all support WordPress and make the installation really easy. So I just want to show you an example of a website built with WordPress with just one of the thousands of themes that's out there. So this is the same theme on WordPress, but it has 6, different looks and feels. So we have photographer website, a lingerie website, so more of a feminine look. But just by changing the colors, the fonts, the images in this theme, a little bit of the layout, this is more modern, sophisticated, simple kind of look and feel. And then we have a travel website or a yoga website, the colors, the layout has changed. And this is the great thing about WordPress, and then this particular theme that I like, it's a free theme. It has an easy to use drag and drop editor, so you don't have to know any kind of code. You don't need to know if you're familiar with what's behind a web page, HTML, CSS, any of that. It's just drag and drop. You can design the page however you want, really easily. And then it has easy way of setting those fonts and colors. So once you pick your unique style and you want to update, I want all my fonts to be this particular font or all my headings to have this font. Maybe your paragraphs will have a different font. Super easy to do it to make it match your style. All right, and then the last thing I just want to mention about that, since it's not an all-in-one solution, you do have to have kind of this installed into your on your web host. But as I said, many web hosts use WordPress, and I've used a bunch of different hosting providers over the years, including SiteGround, Bluehost, GoDaddy, a bunch of others. All of them have the option for adding WordPress. Nowadays, it's kind of the first or second question they ask you when you put in your domain. I particularly like SiteGround. I've used, like I said, the other ones. I like SiteGround. It has an easy WordPress install. It's super quick. And they also have some other functionality. Because WordPress is so flexible, sometimes people will get overwhelmed with, oh, what plugins should I install? What functionality? And the great thing that I like about SiteGround is they have, as you're going through their setup process, some plugins just out of the box that are perfect for most people who are building the WordPress website. And so it's super, super easy nowadays to get started with WordPress. Okay, so we have covered a lot tonight about launching your